The Mishnah in Avos, which is the spot that met, brings down Tafresh Rabbis. Kol machlokes Shul l'shem shamayim sofo litkeim. V'chol machloket she'eino l'shem shamayim ein sofo litkeim. Machlokes which is not l'shem shamayim. When two people argue, if they're not l'shem shamayim, their motives are selfish, then ein sofo litkeim. There's nothing positive going to come out from that. What is the example of a machlokas l'shem shamayim? Bishamai beis Hillel. What is the machlokas? Bishamai beis Hillel argued many different machlokasim. L'shem shamayim. What is the example of machlokas shelo l'shem shamayim? Korach ba'adato. And so Samis asks, l'chayra, seemingly, is this all that Korach did wrong? Simply that his machlokas was shaloi l'shem shamayim? Korach was morid b'malchus. He led a rebellion in Klal Yisrael just after, we don't really know exactly when this parsha took place, but just after Matan Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu brings the luchos down. Aaron HaKohen becomes the Kohen Gadol. Comes Korach and says, you appointed your cronies.
Oh boy.
I'm going to start a machlokas. This is merida b'malchus. This is denial of one of the ani mamims, that Moshe Rabbeinu is a Navi Emes. This is kfira.
Rambam hadn't written them.
Okay, but he knew them.
Okay, yeah, he probably did.
This is kfira. What's going on? The only chisaron, the deficiency that the Mishnah ascribes to Korach is that it's a machlokas she'eino l'shem shamayim. I'm sure we've all been in machloksim that are not l'shem shamayim. Okay, it's taka the wrong thing to do. It's not right. It's taka not right, but it happens. It's not the end of the world. Okay, it's not what Hashem wants. It's in Pirkei Avos. You can't have a machlokas she'eino l'shem shamayim. If you can have a machlokas l'shem shamayim, but that's not Korach. Korach is something much greater, much bigger. This is Sama's question. The kasha ki b'zeh hamachloika or hamachloikas nira shahaya avera gedola veich yachasu loi shehu rak machlokas shelo l'shem shamayim. It's only simply a machlokas. It's not l'shem shamayim. It's much greater than that. That's our first question. Let's go to Rashi. Vayikach Korach Lokach es atzmo l'tzad echad lios nechlak mitoch ha'ida. Vayikach Korach, he took. What did he take? He didn't take anything. He didn't pick up Dasan Ma'aviram by the collar and say, hey fellows, come with me. That's not what happened.
He did a take-out. He took out himself.
Separate.
Took himself out.
Take out. Very good.
Take out.
He separated himself mitoch ha'ida la'orara kahuna. Now, there's no indication of where the Bnei Yisrael were on this machlokas, right? Korach comes, 250 people, with his Dasan V'Aviram and Om Ben Peles and whoever, and he comes and he says, okay, you guys are taking everything for yourselves, Rav Lachem B'nei, Rav Lach Al Tosef, right? Like, come on, it's enough is enough, share the wealth over here. That's what he says, right? Where's the Bnei Yisrael on this machlokas? Are they with Moshe or are they with Korach?
Well, we don't know yet, but we're going to find out.
What are we going to find out?
Where they are.
Where were they?
Well, you get the
What
sense...
did we find out?
You get the sense that right after Korach passes away, they're all coming and birching and complaining, how could you do this and all this and all those
Okay, but even
dying.
before, that's true. Good indication, but that's just hearsay. Where do you
It's
see...
true, because God wiped them out. God killed them all.
How many people did God kill?
14,000 people.
What did they do wrong? They didn't do anything. What did they do?
Well, God isn't going to kill innocent victims.
Right. So there's some people just... Right? And what happened? God wants to kill everybody here.
Yeah.
Right? What does Moshe Rabbeinu say?
Bring the guitarist out.
Wait, hang on. What does Moshe Rabbeinu say? Ish echad yachatav al kol ha'eda yiktov.
Yeah, that's right.
One guy sins and you're gonna
Wipe out the whole nation.
Yeah. Well, what was Hashem? Obviously, people were
A little bit for Korach.
Yeah.
But Korach did a lot of
So
lobbying.
can I ask you something? Okay, he was a good. Yeah, that's why
He was a great
when you said
lobbyist.
Korach, I thought you said Obama for a second.
No. He was a great lobbyist.
He was a great lobbyist, 100%.
He got Moshe. He was doing Lashon Hara overtime against
He
Moshe
was one of
Rabbeinu.
those guys, you
He's a
know.
womanizer. He's this. He's that. I mean, it was unbelievable the things he was saying.
Yeah. So, I just want to ask you something.
Ask me anything.
Can I ask?
Sure.
The last thing I would ascribe to Korach is Lokach Atzmo Mitoch Ha'eda.
Right.
He didn't take himself out of the
It looks
Eda.
like he was a man of the people.
He was the people. You want to say that they all rebelled? So say they all rebelled. You want to say he was Morav Malchus, you want to say he was Kofar, you want to say that he didn't believe that Moshe Rabbeinu's Nevuah was true. Whatever you want to say about the man, but he didn't take himself out of the Eda. He pushed Moshe Rabbeinu out of the Eda, maybe. What's going on here?
Something much deeper than what we're thinking.
Okay.
Much deeper.
Third question. This, I believe, we said over last year. V'dasan va'avira. What's the significance of dasan va'avira here? Were they Kohanim?
No.
Did they have any tzad that they were really supposed to be picked for the Kahuna Gedola?
Well, they had from the tribe of Reuben. Was supposed
They had a
to
1 out of 250 chance.
So, no, not dasan va'avira.
No.
No, not that.
Right?
Yeah.
No, they don't want it.
They weren't Levim.
No.
But firstborn.
They were Reubenites.
They were not
Reuben.
firstborn. Dasan va'avira.
No, they weren't. But they were Reubenites.
Well,
They were Reubenites. They were from the tribe of
Okay, so
Reuben.
what's so special about
He was really the Bechor.
What?
He was the Bechor. Reuben was the Bechor who was
that's what it is.
who was uprooted.
Okay, I hear that answer, but Rashi says a different answer. What were they doing here? What was the significance of Dasan va'avira?
Any people that
He
are
was
against
against
Moshe,
Moshe.
they're for them.
Okay.
You guys are against Moshe, we're for you.
I would have said that too. They're here again, right? But Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says something different.
Four, your four is my friend.
What?
Four is your four, is my friend also.
Yeah.
Rashi says, look, B'shvil shehayeshev Reuven sharui b'chaniyasam teimana. They were camping on the south side,
Yeah.
right? Shochein lekahas. They were neighbors of Kahas.
Yeah.
Luvana v'achonim teimana nishtatfu im Korach b'machlekusa. Sorry, lekas Luvana v'achonim teimana. Right? They were next to Kas and his children. One of his children was Korach. Nishtatfu im Korach b'machlekusa.
So it was like the
Oy
neighbor.
le Rasha, oy le
Korach.
Shcheinoi. You ever heard that expression before?
Yeah, bad neighbor. Get away from the bad
They were
neighbor.
bad before, though.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't help being next to bad neighbors.
Make sure that you don't have bad neighbors. That's the message.
So you should move.
Right? So Rashi's explaining. What was Dasan va'avira doing there? They were neighbors with Korach.
Well,
Ruvain, these people, the men here, they were neighbors with Korach. They were neighbors with Korach. So Korach starts up, so Dasan va'avira. Start up. Oy le Rasha, oy le Shcheinoi. What's the significance of this lesson? Oy le Rasha, oy le Shcheinoi. Don't have bad neighbors. Don't associate yourself with bad friends. That we should learn that concept from Korach and Dasan va'avira. This is just like agav. It happens to be a lesson that comes out of the story. Don't have a bad neighbor because you're following the trap. Or is there some more central meaning in this story which indicates that,
of course, the
influence that a neighbor has? What's going on? What's the bad influence here? What's this nekuda? Let's just try to understand. And of course, we didn't ask that last year, but the following question we asked last year. Maro Korach lachlo b'Moshe. Continuing Rashi. He was jealous. Why did he argue? He was jealous. Who was he jealous of? Elitzapha. Elitzapha ben Uziel, who was appointed the prince of the Bnei Kahaz. Mm-hmm. Why was he the prince? His father was the youngest son of Kahaz. Fine. Moshe Rabbeinu, you want the Malchus. Aaron HaKohen, you want the Kahuna. You're the Bechor of the Levi. But I'm next. I want the Nesius.
The head of the tribe of Kahaz.
I'm going to argue with him. So what did he taka do? He gathered the 250 Roshei Sanhedris, Ruban Misheva Ruven Shchena, Elitzur ben Shteyur v'Chaverov, Nesiei Eda Kriei Moyed Anshe Shem. Right? Ela Kruei Eda. We learn out from the Meraglim. V'Hilbishon Talisos Shekulo Tcheles, and he put on them talisos,
all tcheles,
talises of tcheles of blue.
Who made them? Who made all those 250 talises?
I guess one of the wives.
That's a lot of work.
Bo va'amdu lifnei Moshe. So they came and stood in front of Moshe. Omrulo, talis shekula shel tcheles chayeves b'tzitzis oy petura. Is a talis which is completely made out of tcheles obligated in tzitzis or not?
Yeah.
What's the shaila? What's the shaila? Why not? Why not?
Think about so much garment that is made of anything.
Right.
It needs two strands of tcheles, or one. Then one that made completely of tcheles wouldn't need anything because it already has incorporated into tcheles.
Right. So what did Moshe Rabbeinu tell him?
Needs tcheles.
He needs chayes.
Tzitzis.
What does Korach answer back? This guy now. What are you talking about?
Laughed at him.
Right?
He laughed at him.
He laughed at him. If one string of tcheles can pater, can exempt an entire talis is not made of tcheles, and certainly an entire talis made of tcheles, does it need tcheles? That's Korach's type. L'chayra, Korach is right. Why is it chayiv in? Moshe Rabbeinu didn't answer why it's chayiv. Why is it chayiv in tzitzis? Why do you need tcheles to exempt such a talis? The whole thing is made out of tcheles.
Because Hashem says every beged, this is a
regular. That's a regular beged.
It doesn't stipulate whether it's regular or not.
It's a svara, a logic.
Yeah, but the swear
is his logic wrong?
Well, his logic isn't in the Torah. It says all four corner garments need tcheles.
I think there might be a deeper answer. Perhaps. But you're correct.
Because he didn't want to ask a shit.
Oh, there's the answer. You're right on it. Yeah. The Medrash actually, brings another example. That he asked him, is a house full of svarim need a mezuzah?
The house full of Sefer Torah, does it need a mezuzah?
Svarim, yeah. Does it need a mezuzah?
Because it's got the whole little section.
Yeah.
It's got the whole little whole section that's in the mezuzah is in the Torah all 1,000 times.
Why does it need that? Why does it need
We've got all these little mini mezuzahs in the Torah there, like 1,000 of them, or 100 of them.
Order in the court. Okay. Those are our questions for tonight. Aval Hanira, says the Sfat Emet. Aval Hanira. This is what appears to me. Ki bevadai haya Korach muchan lios bar plukta la'aron k'mo Shammai ve'Hillel. Certainly, Korach was roy. He was fit to be an arguer of Aaron, like Shammai and Hillel. Right? There's always the way Hashem works here, like the way the way Hashem made humans, is that He gave us a certain midah, right? He gave us a certain midah. So, Korach was obviously a feisty guy, right? And he was a holy man. I mean, he was a Noseas Aaron, right? He carried the Aaron. It says Sasemes, Korach was rightfully arguing with Aaron HaKohen. He could have been somebody who could sit down with Aaron HaKohen, talk and learning, and argue with him over the Gemara. He was on top of that level. Say it outside the rest of it. He could have done it. What happened? Instead, he taka argued with him, but not like Shammai and Hillel. Do you hear what the Sfas Emes is saying here? Let's understand. He digresses and he says as follows. The famous Sfas Emes, which we say over a lot. What is shalom? What is shalom? Many people think that shalom is
lack of fighting.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace. In fact, the translation of shalom is not peace, or not lack of fighting. It's harmony. 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 What is harmony? Harmony means Kishem she'ein partzufeim shavos kach ein deosehen shavos. Their faces are not the same, and neither are their minds. There's no two people who look like Rabbi. There aren't two people. There's not another person who looks like Dr. Raskolnikov.
Nobody.
There's nobody else
No two guys
in the world who looks like him.
Nope.
And just like there aren't two people that look alike, there's no two people that think alike. Everybody's different. When people think differently, it's not our fault, but naturally, when something occurs, that there's reason, right, that there's room for two opinions, there will be two opinions, especially if those two people are Jewish. If there's room for two opinions, there shall be two opinions. Correct?
Correct.
No,
Or more.
Shavos. People don't think the same way. Right?
Exactly.
Is it wrong to argue? Is it wrong to argue? It's not wrong to argue.
Of course not.
We make a big mistake. Shalom doesn't mean lack of argument
No.
or lack of fighting. That's not what shalom means. That's not what it means. Shalom means harmony. Harmony. That means even though we fight, even though we're different, even though we have different opinions, even though we have different hashkafis,
We get along.
we can still get along. How can we get along? Because we realize that somebody else thinks differently. Why do I feel so strongly about my opinion? Not because I am the greatest man to ever live and my opinion must be the best, because I don't think anybody's at that level of gaiva that would think that his way is the way and nobody else's way is the way. If you realize that other people think differently and you're different than somebody else, right? So why do I want my opinion to win out? Why do I want to be right in an argument? Why don't I just walk away and say, okay, I don't care. You go. Why are there people that want to hold to their shita and they feel that what they're doing is right? Why? Why, I ask? Why? Why does it happen? Is it because they think they're amazing, that they're the best, and that there's nobody else greater than them? No. So that's a possibility. But generally speaking, that's not the case. So why don't you just walk away? The other guy's correct. Finished. His day, his day is different than you. He doesn't think the same way. Again, some people don't realize that people think differently. So if people don't realize that people think differently, then it's true. Then they can argue with the other fellow because you think the other fellow's thinking the same way as you're thinking, and your way is right, so you have to convince him that his way is wrong. But that's a mistake. You can't convince someone that what they're saying is wrong, right? Why can't you convince them most of the time? Why? Not because they're stubborn.
They have different days
because they just think differently. Different backgrounds, different minds, different things, different thinking. So it just doesn't work. Right? Sometimes you just can't convince them. It could be so obvious to you, but they're not listening. How come? Why? Why are they not listening? Because they think they're so great, and that their daya is the greatest daya that ever existed and was ever known to mankind, and that if you don't disagree with that, that if you disagree with them, you must be you must be not as smart. Why? Why do people disagree if they know that they don't think alike? Why do you have a machlokes if you know that you don't think alike? Just chalk it up to the not thinking alike and go live your life without being bothered. What's going on here? Why do you have to convince the guy? Why do you get upset? What is this?
One reason.
Because you want to not have strife. Because you want.
So you continue arguing.
No, because you want.
I would walk away if that's all I wanted.
If you can convince them to understand from your point of view, if you could only think like me, then we wouldn't have any problem.
Hey, listen, I don't know how old you are here, but
old.
But you've been around for a while, and you probably disagreed with several people many times.
Never.
And no?
Not yet emotion.
Not yet emotion.
Disagreeable guy that I know.
And you know that no matter how hard you try and how long, there's certain people that you're not going to win. You could just get frustrated and then go home and just say lashon hara and whatever about the guy. You can't talk to the man. You can't talk to the lady. You know what I mean? Like, they don't get it. They don't get it. So it's much easier just to realize the truth, which is true, that people are different. People see things differently. So why do we continue to argue? Nobody's answering my question.
I can tell you why. You want to know why we continue to argue? There's one reason. There's one true reason. L'shem shamayim.
Oh, there we go. There we go. You're both right. It could be ego, but that can't possibly be every machlokas in the world. There's another reason. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. If you understand what I'm trying to do here, let's get down to it. We're assuming some people stay at this level their entire life, which they think that other guys think the same way they do, have the same experiences they do, and saw the same thing they did, or heard the same thing they did, and therefore should have the same opinion, and therefore if you argue with them enough, they'll definitely change their mind. Some people think that way, right? But if you have a little bit of experience, you'll know that's just not the case. It's just not true. People are different and people think differently. I think, as kids we all think like that, right? And that's why we argue with each other. But when you grow a little older, you realize, I can't argue with the guy. Come on. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to convince them. So why would then you keep on arguing? Why would you get upset? You know the guy's different. He's a Martian. Okay, you're going to care what he says and what he thinks? Who cares? He's totally different than you. He's Venus, from Mars, whatever. Right? It's totally different. So there's two reasons. It could either be your ego, which, okay, but I mean, you think you're the greatest person to ever exist, and that nobody is possibly greater than you that could think and be smarter than you and see things, right? There's ego.
Right.
Or we hope that no, I feel so strongly about what I'm doing is the right way, and this is what Hashem wants from me,
right, that
I so want you to also do the same thing that I'm doing, and be zoicha to have that privilege of serving God in the way that I'm serving God, or thinking about thinking about life the same way I think about life.
Right.
Right. That's called the machlokas l'shem shemayim. There's a machlokas l'shem shemayim, where I'm really out to get you to, like sometimes there's a Chassidish group that tries to go to a regular Litvish guy and try to entice them to become Chassidish. Why? Right?
Because
or even Esha Torah or Westmount or whatever, right? When they'll pick on some secular Jew out there in Walmart. They'll go over to him and say, I think you're really gonna like what and the guy says, Tat. He says, yeah, but there's no God. Yes, there is a God. No, right? In other words, what's this machlokas l'shem shemayim? You really want the other guy to see things your way. You really want to convince him eventually, maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, but you really want to convince them. You want to argue. You want to continue arguing. You want to bring up every side of the argument to make sure that the other guy sees things your way. Why? L'shem shemayim. And sometimes he wants to do the same thing back to you. Right? And so you argue. Beishamai, Beisilo, Beishamai, Beisilo, Beishamai, Beisilo. Each one thinking that this is really the way to serve Hashem. Right? Yeah. Haredi, this, Mizrahi, right? L'shem shemayim. Everybody thinks what they're doing is the Ratzon Hashem. Right? So you want the other guy to think like you.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what shalom is. Shalom does not mean you don't argue. Shalom means that in every argument you have God's interests in mind. Right? And therefore the result is harmony. Because if at any point in the argument I realize that the other guy's right,
you switch over.
I'll put it down. I'm going to put it down. That's called harmony. It doesn't mean everybody's the same. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. But even though we're different, we all have a common goal. It doesn't mean we can't argue to get there. That's what the Sasama says. Big chiddush. Big chiddush. Shalom doesn't mean peace. It means harmony. It says the vart of Oysa Shalom b'mroimav. Right? V'yasa Shalom aleinu. What does Shalom mean? It means Oysa Shalom b'mroimav. Just like in the heavens, you have a sky, the Shemayim. Shemayim is made out of Eish and Mayim. Fire and water. Fire and water don't get along with each other. If there's fire, there's no water. If there's water, it's going to put out the fire. How do you have an existence of fire and water together? It's impossible. They're mutually exclusive. How do you have fire and water? If you have a few droplets of water and you take fire next to it, what's going to happen to the water? It's going to evaporate. If you take water and you pour it onto fire, what's going to happen to the fire? It's going to extinguish. Well, how do you have fire and water coexisting together?
A pot.
No, well that's
In a pot.
In a pot.
But I'm saying, but what you can do.
Make sure don't come too close.
But what I'm saying is, Oseh Shalom Bimromav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. So you need
God,
Hashem to
who
come
makes Shalom Bimromav. If the Eish and the Mayim are both only existing because God keeps them there, then there's a cohesion. The cohesion of opposites is called Shalom. It's harmony. It doesn't mean you become the same. You stay opposites. But there's a coexistence. There's a common goal. It's a machlokas l'shem shemayim. It says the Sfasemes, moiridik in the Welt. The Sfasemes says,
An amazing thing.
Shlemus. Shalom. Not only it's not correct to say that harmony is, even though we're different, we can still get along. Shalom can only be reached through machlokes, through differences of opinions. I know machlokes has a very not negative connotation, but you know what I mean. Through differences of opinions. The only way to reach the madrega of shalom is through having different kishem she'ein partzufeim shavos come together and to a common goal.
Is that the same for us?
That's the same for us.
I mean,
Shleimus can only come from machlokes. And it can only...
individual, I'm talking about the guf and the neshama.
The guf and the neshama, that's who Yasser Shalom Aleinu, the guf and the neshama, which are opposites. You can't contain something spiritual into you can't, pour air into a cup. It doesn't work, right? You can pour air into a cup, it won't stay.
No.
How do you get a neshama into a guf? So Hashem can put them together.
Glue.
They're different. They're opposites. They don't come together. Korach could have had that with Aaron. That's what Hashem was looking for. He could have had that. He could have been a Baal Machlokas with Aaron to create the Shalom of eternity, the Shleimus. But he didn't. It wasn't L'Shem Shemayim. Vayikach Korach Lokach Atzmo. Now listen to this diak. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, Boiker v'yoyda Hashem Eis Asher Loi. In the morning, God will know who is to him Ve'is HaKadosh, and who is holy, Ve'kriv Elav, and who is befitting to bring to him. Ve'is Asher Yibchar Bo Yakriv Elav, and whoever God chooses will bring to him. That's the statement.
One
Boker in the morning, V'yoda Hashem Eis Asher Lo, that God will know what Asher Lo.
What is his?
What is his? It says this sometimes. You know what it means? Boker V'yoda Hashem Eis Asher Lo. It means that in the morning Hashem will know who, when they argued, was L'Shem Shemayim, Eis Asher Loi, who was for him, whose intentions were in the right place. Was it Aaron? Was it Moshe when they argued against Korach? Or was it Korach when he argued against Moshe? And we know what the outcome was. Boiker v'yoida Hashem Eis Asher Lo, mi shekavanosoi elav daika. Let's try to explain this at a greater level. Nesiva Shalom brings a Zohar HaKadosh.
Oh, he goes deep into this.
Korach azul b'machlokes. Korach went to argue. Machlokes plugata de Shalom. In argument, he waged war against Shalom. Uman de polig ala Shalom, somebody who wages war on Shalom, polig al shma kadisha,
Wow.
argues on the name of God.
That's serious.
Begin de shma kadisha Shalom ikri, because the holy name
The Shalom.
is called Shalom. Shalom is the shame of Hashem. Shame de Shalom hu Shabbos.
right.
The shame of Shalom is Shabbos. Di'ihu Shalma, Di'iloi v'tatoi, because Shabbos is the completion, is the perfection, the shlemus of the uppers and the lowers. Uman de polig aleha, and whoever argues on this Yis'avid me'alma, will be destroyed from the world. Rabbi Yossi Oymar, Rabbi Yossi says, Oyreisahu Shalom. Not only is Shabbos Shalom, Torah is Shalom. Dechsiv v'chol. I'll give you a clue. It has to do with the name of the Sefer. Nesivoiseha
Shalom.
Shalom. Its paths Whose paths? The Torah's paths are shalom. The Korach asa la'afluga la'afgama shalom, and he came to damage, to blemish shalom. So the Zohar is describing a war that Korach wages against shalom. Shalom represents the shame of Hashem. Shalom represents Shabbos, and Shalom represents the Torah. And this is the war that Korach represents. And we could all ask ourselves, really? Okay, I know it's a Zohar Kaddish, and nobody can question the Zohar or argue on the Zohar, of course, but we have a Torah, and the Torah says that Korach argued on
Moshe,
the Kahuna, right? Moshe. He didn't argue on Hashem.
Shabbos.
He didn't argue on Shabbos. He didn't argue on Shalom. He didn't argue on what's going on in the Zohar. What is the Zohar trying to explain? So the Nesivos Shalom explains with the Medrash and Veschanan. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, Bonai, my children, Kol ma barasi zugos. Everything that I've created, I created in pairs. Shemayim v'aretz, heavens and earth. Right? Loi v'tatoy. Chama v'lovana, the sun and the moon. Adam v'chava, Adam and Eve. Olam hazeh v'olam haba, this world and the next world. Aval kvoidi echad, but my honor is one. I created twos, but I'm one. Umiyuchad ba'olam. Minayin, how do you know that Hashem is one? Shakarinu mila shakarinu shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad. Hashem is one. What does the Midrash say? I created twos, but I'm one. What's going on here? Explains in Nesivos Shalom, Hashem created a world of Mekabel, Mashpia, Umekabel, givers and takers, and each giver and taker is a pair. Each giver and taker is a pair. The sun gives to the moon reflects the sun. The Aretz receives from the Shemayim, right? The Shemayim gives rain down to the ground, right? Right? It allows it to sprout, it allows it to grow. Adam Mechava, right? There's no sin in the Mekabel. And he says, V'chein ha'olam hazeh v'olam haba. I didn't really understand that 100%. But that's what he says. V'chein ha'olam hazeh v'olam haba. Okay, whatever.
So it is.
We could think about it. We could think about it. But Hashem is one. So he doesn't explain this very clearly, but I'll try in my words to help explain what the Medrash means and what the Nesivos Shalom means to say here. And we'll start by asking a question. I think this is an extremely deep concept. Extremely. We'll ask a question. We know Hashem is one. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad. Before the world existed, nothing else existed, just Hashem. After the world exists, still nothing else exists, only Hashem. Right? So, and yet, we live in this mirage called Olam Hazeh, this world, right? We think somehow that we're twos, we're threes, we're multiples, we're not one, right? Really, we are one. It's just a facade. But we live in a world that's, everything is chamri, everything is physical, so everything's defined, and there isn't one. There isn't oneness here. Why did Hashem create this world? Why did Hashem create the world? Why? He was one, wasn't missing anything. Right? We still are one. Still are really one in the most, in the shorish of everything. Everybody's just one. So why did Hashem create the world?
It's hard to be a king without a kingdom.
Okay. Well, why do you need a kingdom for? Why does he need to be a king?
To give us pleasure. It's for us.
So what you're saying is like this. there is something that Hashem Kaviyachol, I don't mean to say it this way, but I'll say it how I know how to say it. There is something that Hashem is missing. Right? Right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that what is Hashem missing? To give. You can't really give yourself. Right? I mean, let's think about it. You could correct me if you think I'm going the wrong way here, but you can't. Hashem can't give himself, right? And we know that, we know from our own peanut brains that there's a certain pleasure in giving, isn't there? There's a certain, there's a certain giving. There's a certain nachas ruach. People like to give, but Hashem didn't have that. There was just one. To say that Hashem is just one, it wasn't two, right? People feel lonely when they're one. That's people, not Hashem. I'm not saying that about Hashem. I'm just saying, so again, just breaking it down just so that we could understand it, even though these concepts are way above our head. But, on our level, we can understand that the concept of mashpia, of makaba, right? This concept of being a king and having a kingdom. You can't have a kingdom unless you have a king. Why do you need to be a king for? Because a king, we know the characteristic of the king is to mavatal themselves, is just to give, only to live a Jewish king, only to give and give and give and give and give and not take anything. And that is why Hashem created the world, for the hashpia. So even though the root of everything is anyways Hashem, but He created it in a way where He could give through the layers. In order to give, you need to create two. You can't give if it's only one. Right? So again, I could be way off over here. How am I supposed to know why Hashem created the world? That's not what I'm professing to do. I'm simply trying to bring out a concept, and that is that the basis of the entire world is lahashbia ulekabel, which means that God created the world to give so that we could receive. Yes. That's the whole reason why Hashem created the world, right? To give so that we can receive. That means we have to receive. That means if we don't receive, if we can't be a makabel, if we can't receive, then there's no point in having the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's. In the world itself, Hashem created givers and takers. And not only is the whole thing there to take from His giving, but the whole world operates that way. Right? There's the mashpia and the makabel. Right? We said a few examples already. Right? The Medrash. There's Shemayim and there's Oretz. There's Adam and there's Chava. And then there's Olam Hazeh and there's Olam Haba. And then there's, right, Chama and Levana. That's givers and takers. And that system is the whole purpose of the world.
But that's the nature of creation.
That's the nature of creation.
That's the way. If you go against that, you're going against the whole basic fabric of what is created.
Exactly, and therefore the whole world might as well just implode because there's no reason anymore for it. If the whole basis of the whole creation was mashpia and makabel,
that's it. Then
if you were to go against that, there's no purpose of creation.
So
Hashem could have just stayed one. I mean, what's the right? Just stay one. What's the purpose? What's the point? So mikan hochacha. Well, from here is a great proof against
Korach.
Not Korach yet. We're not up to Korach. Okay. We first have to break this down a little bit more. This is a great proof against those men and women that feel that men should be women and women should be men. What do I mean by that? I don't mean to actually make physical changes in their makeup.
Right.
What I mean to say is that men, Adam is a nosein, and a woman is a makabel. Okay? Yeah. Both roles. I'm not going to go too much into this because it's not really the point of the share.
No.
But both roles are equally as chashuv. In fact, Hashem didn't need a mashpia in order to create the world. He needed a makabel, right? So we could be makabels from him. But the woman is the makabel, so she's actually the more important part of that relationship because she takes all of that power, that energy, that potential, and she actualizes it. That's what a makabel does. The ground receives the rain. Rain is nothing. Sometimes it's a nuisance, especially for overage drachim, people who travel and people who have to, run in and out, especially in today's rain, right? It's a nuisance almost, right? If you could say that about a bracha. Sometimes it's just, it just gets in the way, right? But it's so powerful. It's so powerful. It has so much energy. It can't do anything unless the proper thing receives it, right? That may be a mikvah, or it might be a cup to drink, or it might be the ground, which will then take that rain and enable all of the seeds to sprout and the fruits to grow, right? The makabel is what materializes that mashpia. So the human being materializes the koach and the energy and the shefa that God gives. The woman materializes the energy, the koach, the zera that the man gives, and actualizes it and creates and creates material, right? Mm-hmm. That's what happens. That's the way the world works. If you try to alter that, there might as well not be a world. Right. A woman should not behave like a man.
No.
A woman should not try to be the no-sane in the relationship with the man. Because it's not.
What's going is the basic fabric of creation.
Exactly. And I'll just, I'll just further that, and everybody take this and you'll think about it further, but the Torah writes about a relationship between two men and two women as an abomination. Right? What's the pshat? What's wrong with that?
Distorting.
No. What's wrong with it?
Forbidden relation.
Why?
Because the giver is giving to a giver and the receiver is giving to a receiver.
Because there isn't a give-or-take relationship.
Yeah, but
you don't. Excuse me. You can't mess around with the way God created the world.
What they say with a commercial, you can't fool Mother Nature.
So it's not only that it's wrong, and and it's wrong, it's immoral, it's unethical, right? And it's also against the Torah.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, the world might as well just implode on itself, because there's no point anymore.
Right. Yeah. Destroy the world.
Because Hashem didn't need he didn't need to give to a giver.
Right.
Anyway, you take it from there.
Yeah.
And Stephen Shalom explains with a beautiful mashal. He says, beautiful mashal. He says that you could be the most beautiful fruit. You could be the most unbelievable fruit. The second the fruit detaches itself from the tree, the second it's off the tree, it's only going to go downhill, right? The only way for a fruit to grow
is attached to the tree.
To be attached to the tree, right? So he says as follows. He says that every person in Klal Yisrael needs to be a makabel. You need to be sustained. You need to receive nourishment from your Rabbi. That's a plug he has over here for Chassidus.
Yes.
But yeah, and he says, but there, Chabal Shem Tov, whatever, he goes in the whole thing. But the point is that every person needs to have a Rebbe.
Yeah.
Every person needs to be connected. Every person needs to have a Rav. Every person needs to be connected. Because if you're not connected, you could be the most beautiful fruit. Really, you could be delicious, fully grown, but you're only going to get older and older, drier and drier, and rotten and rotten.
You're on the way out,
right?
You're detached. You're on the way out.
You need to have a Rebbe. You need to have a mashviah. You need to be connected to somebody with more experience or greater knowledge. There has to be mashviah and makabel. Because if you're not a makabel, you're just going to rot. That's the fact. The fruit just dry out. What was Korach's taina? Right? We said Korach is right. Right? We said seemingly he's right. He's right. He said Kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim.
That's true.
He said talis shekuloi tchelas. He argued on the kahuna. Right? He made a machlokas on the kahuna. What was he saying? He's saying, why do we need leaders? Why do we need
We're all
to be mikablim?
Hey, who made you
We
make
all
that?
have that energy. We all have that potential. Did you know that Korach was a feminist? That would have been a great title for this year.
Yeah.
Korach the feminist. No, but I mean seriously.
I'm saying, I'm going to put it here.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't put it there. No. I was just joking.
Okay.
The idea is that we have to understand we must be makablim. Otherwise, if we're not ready to be makabel what Hashem gives to us, then why is there a world? It might as well just implode. He doesn't need a world if not for just having the idea of a makabel there in the world, so that He can give the shefa, so that we can receive it and materialize it. That's the whole reason of the world. So Korach went and argued against that. He misunderstood. I'm not saying, he didn't, it wasn't this big fira thing. He was a holy man, right? He was the Nosias Aaron.
And Shmuel eventually came after.
Yeah. I'm not saying, Chas v'Shalom. It's not. These are lessons that we learn out of the scriptures. It's not that we're judging anyone or even trying to fathom and assess biblical personalities. It's not. We cannot ever speak badly about Korach. We don't know. We can't call him a feminist. We can't write that on our sheets of paper because
we can call him a Baal Machlokes, an expert of Machlokes.
Yeah.
We can call him. The Siva Shalom says he was against Shabbos. Yeah. He was against Torah. He was against any of none of that is good. I can't see any of that being good.
Let's try to understand it.
How can he say those things though?
Let's try to understand.
That part of the show.
Let's try to understand. Kol ha'eda kula kadoshim. He arguing on Moshe v'Aaron. We are also nosnim. We don't need you, Aaron and Moshe. We don't need you.
Yeah.
Doing that is arguing on shalom. Because again, what is shalom? Shalom is a coexistence of the opposites. What opposites? The nosen and the makabel.
There you go. It's very deep, but very true.
It's a coexistence between a nosen and a makabel.
It's a coexistence of opposites.
Yeah.
And that's that. The opposites are the
in order to create shalom. See, again, we could be two men fighting also, both being nosnim and both being makabels, right? In order to create the shleimus, in order to create the shalom, right? In order to create the shleimus, that perfection, the Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, the Machlokas L'Shem Shemayim, in order to create that, there has to be a fusion, a cohesiveness of the opposites, the man and the woman, the Ruchnius and the Gashmius, coming together in a way that the only way they can come together is if one can actualize the other. If the Gashmias can take the Ruchnias and create Gashmias which is infused in Ruchnias. If the woman can take what the man has and materialize it. That's Shleimus. That's Shalom. When two people fight L'Shem Shemayim, they can create, there's a potential to create Shalom. Korach did not fight L'Shem Shemayim. Vayikach Korach lachach atma mitoch ha'eda. He took himself out of the Eda. What does it mean he took himself out? Because he denied this concept of Mashpia and Makabel. Once you deny the concept of Mashpia and Makabel, there is no Shalom. You ever hear about somebody say of unfortunately, in Canada they legalized same-sex marriages, that these two people have Shalom bias? It would be a stira. It would be a contradiction. You couldn't call that Shalom bias. There's no harmony because
it can't be.
Yeah, right?
It's an oxymoron.
It's an oxymoron.
Mamish an oxymoron.
Moron, oxy. Yeah,
it's a moron.
Right? So that's not Shalom. That's not what Shalom means.
Mashpia is giver.
Influencer.
Makabel is receiver.
That's what it means. He argued on Shalom. Shabbos is the same way, by the way. The whole week is yonik, nourishes from Shabbos, the same way that Talmid are yonik from the Rebbe. The Torah is the same thing, is the same way. We know that when we went to Matan Torah, we got married to the Torah, right?
That's right.
The Torah was the Chasim, and we're the Kala. It's not just a mashal, it's the reality. What does that mean? The Torah is the mashpia.
Torah gives and we receive.
And we receive. The Torah has the energy, the power, and the potential. And we can take that and materialize it. We actualize it.
But see, one way Korach claimed that we are all Kohanim, he didn't go on the side that we all Mekablim.
Correct. He said everybody's equal.
So the meaning equally everybody is receiver. So practically he wants to be everybody receiver.
Right. Well, okay.
Or a giver.
Either way, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That's Korach's mistake.
It was big.
It was big because why does Hashem need a world if it doesn't work that way?
Where's ever Hashem created a specific thing to destroy somebody before? Ever in the history before or after? Never been done before. And not only that, but in the Gemara they say 1,000 and something years later they brought these two Emorim to this place in this desert, and they heard Moshe Emes, Torah Emes.
Anyway, I'll go on, and I just want to conclude with one thing, and that is, did we answer all our questions first of all?
I think so. Let's see.
It's true. It's true that what does it mean, lokach atzmo? It was.
You didn't say the bad influence though. You didn't get. Did you say what's the bad influence?
Oh, on the neighbors.
Yeah. I don't think you did that yet.
Oh, I'll let you think about it.
Okay. Thanks. You like that? You don't want to. Okay.
Let's just conclude with.
So tzitzis and mezuzah we say is giver receiver also.
Yeah, because it represents the idea. Oh, so what's the pshat with that? Korach comes and says, when the entire talis is tchelas, you don't need it tzitzis. You don't need Moshe Rabbeinu says no, you still need tzitzis. You still need the tzitzis as mashpia on the talis.
Yeah.
The mezuzah, even if you're the greatest fruit, but if you're not connected to the tree, you're not going to go. You still need a hashpah, and you still need a mashpia, and you still need a makabel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's only one thing that's complete. Like a finish. Like Hashem.
The Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because of sinas chinam. What's sinas chinam? Sinas chinam means that when we have a machlokes